On this episode of Butt Crack Cycles, we teach the calf not to eat my OBS Ford. More cows. Hey mama, what you doing? This isn't an episode about cows though, it's an episode about this OBS truck right here. Nope, there's Clarence. Clarence was the bottle calf this year. He's kind of special. Hey, buddy. Yep, not a thought in that head. Anyways, if y'all caught my last episode about trucks, about this white truck behind me, I recently bought this truck. It's a 92 F350. It's an IDI 7.3. It has a Banks Gen 2 Sidewinder turbo kit on it, and it also has a 3-speed brownie box behind the ZF5, which means this truck has a total of 15 forward gears possible and 3 possible reverse gears, which is pretty cool and unusual. However, the engine in this truck has no compression at all, and so regardless of what I do with this truck, if I keep it, if I part it out, whatever, sell it as is, I need to pull the engine out, and at the very least I'm going to pop the cylinder heads off of the thing and see what's messed up with it. So that's what we're going to do on this episode. It's going to be pulling an engine out of an IDI OBS and doing a little bit of disassembly. Of course, we have our audience who will be joining us, for the duration of this episode. So I obviously want to pull the hood off of this thing, but since I'm working on this solo for right this second, I'm going to start with pulling the coolant package out. So I'm going to pull the radiator, pull the fan, just go ahead and start undoing any hoses. It's been a long time since I pulled an IDI out. The last one I did was a 6.9 and F Super Duty, and it was naturally aspirated. I'm kind of thinking the turbo is going to be in the way, so I'll probably pull the turbo off too. Obviously, at the very least, take the downpipe off. Something I am going to do though is take my cell phone and take some pictures. This is something that I do all the time. It's really useful for remembering where wires go or what bolt went where or whatever. A lot of times old timers love to complain about these young kids and their cell phones, but that's one of the best parts of having a smartphone in your pocket is you always have a camera. It's like having unlimited Polaroids of whatever you're working on, so take advantage of that. So I've gotten the throttle cables undone, and I've started pulling the main wiring harness out of this thing. See that little heat shield plate right there? That tinfoil stuff is around the throttle cable, and then the wiring harness runs through that heat shield and comes out the other side. But that turbo is really right down on top of it, so I think that fairly well confirms it for me that I'm going to need to pull this turbo out. Well, I'm kind of an idiot, and I try and keep it real on this channel. I just realized that the harness comes over and around and over here, and you can see this kind of grungy, nasty, gross, but well, that broke off. Yeah, this needs to be replaced anyways, but all I had to do was just unplug it and flop that crap over onto the engine. I could just leave the harness on the engine and pull the whole harness at once, so I just wasted like 30 minutes of my time. So in pulling the turbo off, the bolts that hold the turbine housing onto the exhaust manifold, just use an extension with a little wobble socket. The last one I have to get with a wrench. I'm gonna show you all a little trick. All right, I kept knocking the camera over where it was before. A lot of times these V-band clamps don't want to come off. So you can take a lady's foot pry bar, and if you just catch them right on the edge of where the sections bolt together, there you go. Hit it just like that, and they'll come right apart. Drop the nut, of course, because we gotta drop the nut. And yeah, downpipe's free. Ready? It's the moment of truth. Sham wow.
You got hold of it.
Boonga!
Yeah.
Yeah, I immediately regret doing that.
What, trash right now?
Oh, it's just oil. Just look at all the oil.
That ain't bad.
Oh, dude, the whole inside of that snail is full of oil.
That ain't bad.
I ate most of it.
That's good on a second gen. sense. I was like, this ain't, I'm not saying it's like it ain't no. Feel like you're about to get Jeff one of them there tests. You ready, big ball man?
Nope. I just didn't have a good grip on it.
Okay.
You hear all the nuts falling out of it?
Yeah, that one needs big good.
Sean's working on fabricating us some motor mounts, or not motor mounts, some lifting links. While I take the motor mounts loose, somebody robbed the lifting links off of both sides of this engine. Obviously the starter's off. I was lazy and just left the wires hooked to it. And yeah, I got all the bell housing bolts loose, so I'm gonna take the motor mounts loose and just let it sit on the motor mounts, and then we'll hook a chain and a machine to it. Hopefully have this thing out of here shortly. So Sean and I brought one of the excavators over, as well as some chains and straps and other things we needed to rig this engine. Like I said, it'd been a long time since I pulled an IDI out of one of these OBS Fords, and I had kind of forgotten just how shoehorned one of these engines is in one of these trucks. My advice would be to go ahead and pull the fan and the fan clutch off. I should have done that, but I didn't. I had to cut the downpipe in half. The downpipe really fought us on this engine pull. And the other thing that we ended up doing was, instead of fighting the engine forward off of the input shaft of the transmission and the transmission dowels, we ended up just go ahead and pulling the drive shaft out and the cross member and dropping the transmission down onto the ground, so that all we had to worry about was getting the engine out of the motor mounts and up physically out of the truck. This looks like it's only a few minutes here in video time, but this was actually a couple hours of work to go from engine sitting on motor mounts to engine sitting on the ground. And by the end of this, I was pretty frustrated and fed up with this stupid IDI, to the point that, yeah, I wasn't real happy with it. But there it is on the ground. I thought you crunched that right on top of the engine. Not yet, but maybe. Well, lots of room for activities now.
This thing getting a straight 6.
DT360 swap incoming. So it's a couple days later. I hadn't had any time this past week to fool with the IDI. The engine's just been sitting there in the cow pasture uncovered. I'll be honest, I'm kind of mad at this thing. I've always kind of had a soft spot in my heart for the IDI engines. I loved the one that I had before. I had a 6.9 and an 87 brake nose with the 4-speed 410s and the Banks turbo kit that I put on it. But man, getting this freaking 7.3 out of this crew cab was a nightmare. That thing fought me and Sean tooth and nail. And I wasn't real happy with it when we got it out. So I'm on the way over to their house. I'm actually in my gas truck. I'm in my 94 OBS F350, and we're gonna go take apart this IDI just to see how doinked it is inside. I don't know how well this will come through on camera, but you hear that little 351 Windsor. She's working to go 40 miles an hour. I hadn't even hit the speed limit yet. There we go, there's 45. This truck basically just gets like 9 miles to the gallon everywhere it goes. This is pretty heavy with the service body on it and full of tools and supplies and equipment. And with 330,000 miles on the clock there, a little small block has to work pretty hard to motivate such a heavy truck down the road. So it's not surprising that I prefer the diesels in these trucks for my applications as a service truck. They just definitely go down the road better and have more torque where you need it and get better fuel mileage. See, we got the intake manifold off, chucked on the ground over there, and we're gonna keep plugging away on this thing, pull valve covers, rockers, and then we'll be ready to snatch some cylinder heads off. So I've got one cylinder head off here, and obviously y'all saw in that video it kind of flipped the engine over on its side when I pulled it off. Obviously now the other side of the engine is heavier, so I probably won't be able to take that one off since I'm out here working by myself today, but there's enough damage in here for me to not really even care about that. I'll show you what we're working with. I'm going to start with looking down the cylinder bores here, and you can see we basically have no cross hatching left at all and really rusted. You can see where like the rings have been stuck in there, and essentially all four on this side look the same. If we come over here to this piston, let's see if I can get this to come through well on camera and zoom it up. See right there on the piston crown, right here on the edge. This might not come through entirely well on camera, but you can see it right in there. If you look closely, the crown of that piston is eroded. It is started to have been eaten away, and right here in the piston is where your injector sprays in out of the pre-cup in the head. And so you get a lot of EGTs in that area with all the fuel coming in right there. And so my guess is that this is burned down and around and probably down the side of that piston. It's also hard to get this entirely on camera, but just kind of eyeballing it, it looks like that piston is not square in the cylinder bore. The side closest to the camshaft, the side of where that crown is eroded, the gap there that you can see is significantly smaller than the gap on the outboard side, on the exhaust side. I'm guessing that it is oblonged out the cylinder wall, would be my sort of educated guess here, and this piston is no longer running square and true inside of this. I almost said it inside of the liner, but inside of the block. Obviously, these are parent bore engines. Let's go look at the cylinder head. Head doesn't really look too bad, actually. I haven't looked at it terribly closely, but it doesn't look like there's any cracks like between the valves or between the valves going out to the edge of the combustion chamber area. There are some cracks if we move around. Where'd they go? There's one right here. There are, however, some cracks in the pre-cups. You can see it right there. Again, this is hard to get on camera. The pre-cups being cracked isn't actually a terrible deal on one of these engines. That's probably, in all honesty, a runnable cylinder head, though. Obviously, it's off of the engine, so I would not even think about putting it back on like that. So that brings me to where am I at and where am I going from here now that I have, this big engine tore apart behind me in the cow pasture. From what I've seen so far, and I will later on in this episode, we're going to put this on an engine stand and tear it all the way down. But from what I've seen so far, I say this thing's trash. I would guess, take an educated guess, that I'm going to need to replace all the pistons, do bearings, probably send the crank to the machine shop, definitely send the block to the machine shop. It'll probably need to get sleeved. I would want to do head studs instead of just putting factory head bolts back in it. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bunch of wear on the camshaft, and it probably needs to get replaced, and as well as, cam bearings. And yeah, by the time you buy all those parts and pay for all that machine work, it starts to add up to a point where I don't really know that the IDI is the right solution to go back in this truck. So it's been about a week, maybe week and a half or so since that last clip was filmed, and I've had plenty of time to do some thinking and some looking around, like on Facebook Marketplace and stuff, for some options as far as fixing this. I'm not putting the IDI back in, but by the time you put all the time and money into rebuilding that engine and upgrading the injection pump and upgrading the turbo, all to make, maybe 250 horsepower, but I would like more than that. So probably the realistic solution here on this truck is going to be a 6BT 12 valve Cummins. I found a few like in school buses and in RVs that are fairly low mileage and relatively low hours. People are asking an absolute fortune for them out of pickup trucks. They'll be like, pulled from a running truck with 300,000 miles, $3,000. I know what I've got. No low balls. and I'm not spending that on that kind of a mild out motor. The other option is a DT360. You can find those for quite a bit less than a 12 valve Cummins. However, the fabrication to get one of those actually into the chassis of the truck's a lot more. So I'm thinking I'm gonna just take my time and try and find as cheap and as low mileage of a 12 valve to put into this truck, and we'll go from there. So y'all keep watching. This will be just like a continually evolving saga. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. Sorry this isn't motorcycle content. I know this video will do poorly because anything on this channel that's not a old Harley does poorly, but I wanted to try and stick with my commitment of, you know, always having a video out every single week, even if it's not Harley stuff. See y'all on the next one. Bye.